Utility companies make an already bad storm worse. That's what nearly 120 homeowners in Breezy Point, Queens, New York are saying, collectively suing the Long Island Power Authority and another utility called National Grid for not capping energy or cutting it off, more to the point, from flowing to their homes and all but making them tinderboxes. They say the utilities did not de-energize, as it's known, or manage the electricity going to those homes ahead of and during the storm, leaving open circuits, open power wires, exposed to flood water, and you know the rest, creating all of these fires. To Breezy Point homeowner Kieran Burke and his lawyer Keith Sullivan on what has now become an $80 million lawsuit. Kieran, to you first, home destroyed. Where are you now?
My family and I are living in a rental property up in Yonkers, New York.
Okay, so yours was among 120 some odd homes that burned to the ground. The power companies say they had nothing to do with that. That's what happens in hurricanes. You argue they could have prevented it. How?
Well, very simple. Electricity and water don't mix historically, and had they taken a proactive approach and put the public trust and public safety in the forefront of their game plan and shut the power, that fire wouldn't have started. And once that fire
Your home
did start,
might still have been destroyed, but it wouldn't have been destroyed by
well,
flames.
actually, no, because I was in the home before the water came up, and I was in the home before the fire hit it, and the water had gone out. And all the homes in that general vicinity were all still fully intact. They were heavily damaged by the flood. Yes, there was damage. But my home specifically, the water had come and gone in a 2-hour window, and I didn't even have a basement. So I would have clearly in 8 months been able to rebuild my home. I was there during the fire as it progressed, and the homes in that area, evidenced by the perimeter of that area, you can tell that those homes are still standing. So obviously,
and you're no dummy with this stuff. You're a fireman by training, so it's not like me talking about electricity. You actually know what you're talking about.
Well, I know a little bit about the fires, but
okay. Well, let me ask Keith here. Is it procedure, and that's what you've got to get to the bottom of, is it procedure that ahead of a major storm, they cut the power just in case homes are exposed to water? Those wires would be exposed to the water, and it could be a disaster.
Sure, and that's what we're going to prove in court, is that the industry standard in a circumstance like this, where you have a neighborhood that's going to be infiltrated by rising seawater, you de-energize the system. You essentially cut power to the system.
Isn't there some dispute, Keith, that the severity of the storm, was it appreciated that there was no way of knowing that the waters would rise to the degree they did and that homes like Karen's would have been damaged?
For once, Neil, and I say this mockingly towards the news people, the weather people, they got it right. For once, they got it right. This was spot on.
So the warnings were out there?
The warnings were there. The neighborhoods of Breezy Point and Rockaway Beach were under a mandatory evacuation area.
No, but I say, Keith, not to besmirch what you're saying, but
Sure.
to say there are plenty of areas where hurricanes are en route and they don't cut the power for whatever reason.
Industry standard and protocol is to do so when you have surges of the magnitude that we were having, 7, 8 feet surges. These homes would have had...
So the companies that come back and say, no, that is not a procedure and not one that we would have utilized here. And even if we did, we certainly could not have appreciated the degree to which the surge happened. You say?
The appreciation of the degree was there. They were forewarned about it. They should have had a plan and procedure in place. They didn't have one. Industry standard, experts, investigators have indicated you de-energize that system. And when you're dealing with the commodity of electricity and you're charged, invested with the duty and responsibility of distribution of that electricity, the only option for you to take is the most safest. And they failed to do that for the Breezy Point and Rockaway Beach residents. They've created a war zone down there. These homes, Kieran's home, he would have had a flooded basement, maybe a little bit of water on the first floor, but he'd be having a barbecue on his deck this weekend, 4th of July.
The other homes that were not burnt down, Kieran, I mean, in and around the area, I know there were many that were not. Was that because power was cut to the homes? Did you ever ascertain that?
no, actually, it was just the manner in which the fire
Just
progressed.
luck of the draw.
The northeasterly wind, the direction of the wind kind of dictated the direction of the fire.
But in other words, no one's power was cut along the whole area.
No, I was present in the community in 2 different spots, and the power wasn't cut.
But you see how the power companies come back and say, see, luck of the draw. It's damn fate.
Neil, some homeowners on their own shut down the power within their house and evacuated. Others didn't. We've been able to pinpoint the precise house, location, and time of where these fires started.
So
and it was absolutely started by the combination of
doesn't
salt
FEMA have
water.
some role in this, or no?
FEMA has tried to help these homeowners out as best they can, but FEMA is very limited.
But is FEMA telling you, or Kieran, in your case, sorry, buddy, you're on your own?
Well, I mean, in my particular case, early on, they helped us out with hotels and things of that nature, but monetarily, we didn't even qualify for any type of aid. And
Really?
essentially,
Even
yeah.
losing your home?
Yeah, they basically told us, what you just said, that, here's a hotel for a certain period of time, and 9:30 at night on a Friday, one night in January, I was told in a phone call that myself, my pregnant wife, and my 2-year-old needed to find another place to stay the next morning. I tried to articulate our situation, but it didn't matter.
How did you articulate it? Because I think I would have been not quite so articulating.
I tried to be polite because the person on the other end of the phone clearly wasn't making these decisions. But
All right. The baby healthy? Born healthy?
yes, baby Matthew Patrick was born on April 11th.
Wow.
And mom and baby is doing well, and little brother's adapting well.
Yeah, but boy, what a story to tell them when they grow up. So what are you going to do now?
Well, our intention is to rebuild. And, we're trying to negotiate the minefield, the permitting, and all the other things that go with it. The unfortunate thing is that in the case of the homes that were destroyed by the fire, those permits wouldn't have been needed if that fire didn't happen. You don't need a permit to re-sheetrock your wall.
What you're saying.
And the bottom line is the negligence of this utility company started a fire. It destroyed not only the homes, the physical structures, but the lives and the memories. My home was a fourth-generation spot.
But, suing a utility is sort of like suing the government, right? Because they're public, quasi-public institutions. So you face the same pressure all these conservative groups have trying to go after the IRS. It's the government you're effectively trying to sue.
No, not really here, because LIPA has an arrangement with National Grid, which is a private company. LIPA is a public authority. That's correct. So they stem out of the government industry. But they pass the buck.
But I bet you their lawyers are going to use that public authority part to say they're shielded.
And when they do, I'm going to show the documentation that LIPA passes the electricity responsibility over to National Grid, which is a private company. We have 120.
Or maybe you get Kieran on the phone with them and not be so articulate about it, right?
To show you the incompetence of these two companies, they have sent Kieran and dozens of other homeowners, dozens of my clients, utility bills. They've sending them utility bills for homes
you're
that don't
kidding me.
exist.
I was sent bills
For a house that no longer exists.
Well, not only didn't exist, their negligence not only burned it down, but it incinerated it, and in doing so, incinerated their own meters. So in April, I received a bill between the gas and electric for about $1,700 for an estimated meter reading. And when I called the utility, the operator, who had no idea, there was no red flag in their system that these homes didn't exist and that the meters were burned down. I asked the woman, how can you do an estimated meter reading if there's no meter? And she had no answer for me. And my concern, and now it's a founded concern, and thankfully not for myself, but some of the other neighbors are experiencing going to collection agencies now because this robotically...
Sure, it damages their credit report. No fault of their own.
Absolutely. And that was my point, is how are we going to rebuild with damaged credit after you destroyed my house in the first place because you're robotically sending out bills for meters that don't exist? So it just shows their insensitivity as well as their ineptitude.
All right. Well, we look forward to either or both utilities coming on. We've given their point of view and what they're arguing on this, but you're always welcome to come on. But, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Meanwhile, sure.